So much on my mind, just trying to get by. Went to work today, co-workers on the back, temptations on its way. It gets hard trying to be the new me, but I know that you're there for me when times get hard. I know, if I live your way, you are not far. You're the answer to problems, to my worries, to my fears. You're answer. I went out today, so the nations just living their ways. I try to front like I'm perfect, but inside I'm still working. I'm quick to judge over verses. I should be praying they change, but I know that you're there for me when times get hard. Said I know, if I live your way, you are not far. You're the answer to my problems, to my worries, to my fears, all my fears. You answer. When I call, as long as I live your way, if I keep your Torah, you will answer. And believing in Yahusha, as long as I live your way, as long as you will always answer my call when I'm going through. And I know when times get hard. Yahuah knows, I know, if I live your way, you are not far. Yahuah's the answer to my problem. You hear my cry, to my worries, to my fears. Yahuah answers, Yahuah listens, He's always there. When I call, when I call.
Always remember Psalm 20, verse 4 through 9. He does give you according to your heart and fills all your plans. We sing our deliverance, and in the name of our Elohim, we set up a banner, Yahuah, till all your requests. Now I know that Yahuah shall save his anointing. He hands us down from his set-apart Shemayim with the fifty might of his right hand. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we remember the name of Yahuah our Elohim. They have bowed down and fallen, but we have risen and are established. Save Yahuah. Let the Sovereign answer us in the day we call.
Oh, you actually bought that car online yesterday.
Much confusion. We've in the midst of much confusion, we've decided to unify. We won't let the vision die. We know there is a greater purpose, one aim, one destiny, and we'll all stay aligned to what's preferred. Yah. Man keep his hand in the hand of Yah. With woman by his side, all children will follow. And together in unity we'll shine and glorify Yah. Together forever we'll glorify Yah. In unity together we'll glorify Yah. In truth and in unity. One love, one destiny, one great God family. In truth and in unity. One love, one destiny. Yeah. Nothing with woman by his side. All children will follow. Yah gave us back to one another. He opened up our eyes and he gave us the gift of the Yah. We know there is a greater purpose. One aim, one destiny, and we'll all stay alive to us. Referred by Yah. Yes. I'm gonna represent my Yah each and every day. And if for some reason someone may wanna give me praise, I'm telling them praise my Yah because He made this way. Because it's telling you truth that causes all things to be. Yes, oh yes, we appreciate
I was reading Akiadia's comment. Shalom to you all, Mashpaka. I'm having some trouble here controlling the audio today. I said Kushan was beating up the keyboard.
Woke up this morning and thank God for my life. So glad to be here in this lovely paradise. I just want to serve Him with all heart, soul, and might. Every day I praise Him in my eternal life. Looked up at the sun and said, "Ooh, sweet light of mine. I love to see you. You always seem to make things right. Love to see you rise, beautiful things when you go down. And I'm just in awe. It's so amazing, yeah. 'Cause many times I was down on my knees, crying, looking for the answer, but I couldn't find it at all, yeah. But he always came on time and made it right. He's so, he's faithful, yeah. He won't let me fall. He never let me down before. Every
Halal Yahuah, I want to say shalom to you, each and every one of you today, family. Wonderful to be here, and it is great to see each and every one of you today. We give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for this opportunity to be assembled in his name once again. We praise him also for keeping us through the past week, for bringing us together once again, and even for keeping us even right now. As our Akut Sharon had pointed out, even our Mashpaka, our Akut, Yisrael, our family, they're in the path of a storm right now. But yet it is Yahuah that keeps us in the storm. Praise Yahuah. He shelters us, right? He hides us in his secret place. In his pavilion, he does hide us. And so may Yahuah truly continue to watch over you and to keep you, family. And, the literal storms of life are just a picture of the spiritual storms that we can sometimes go through. Because the fact of the matter is that the battle that we fight spiritually, oftentimes and may always, we might say that they're even more real than what we see in the natural. The natural is just a sneak peek into what's happening spiritually. So we give Yahuah praise. We give him esteem for all that he does, for what we know he does, and also for what we do not know that he do. Because there is certainly much that he does on a daily basis, on a minute-by-minute basis, on a momentarily basis that we are not aware of. And even though we don't deserve any of what he does, yet he continue to do it. And that is the great favor of Yahuah. And so we give him praise, honor, and esteem today. May Yahuah truly barak each and every one of you this day, Mashpaka. And it is my hope that our study from his word today, that you'll find it to be a barakah in your life, that you'll find it to be encouraging, that you'll find it to be strengthening, that you'll find it to be reassuring. We give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem, because truly he alone is worthy of our praise. Halal Yahuah. And so as we prepare to begin on this day, we're going to turn our faces toward the set-apart place of Yahuah, as his word tells us, when we, because of our disobedience, when we, because of our wickedness, find ourselves scattered as we are today. And if we, the people called by his name, would turn our faces toward his set-apart place, and certainly, family, and many of Yahuah's people today, many of the people of Yasharal today who are scattered, number one, they still don't know why they're scattered. Number two, they don't know who their creator is. And so, we have been told to call him this, we have been told to call him that. We have been bamboozled into calling upon idols. And but for the one who will come across this video, whether it be tomorrow or next year or however many years from now, should Yahuah tarry, it is my hope that you will come to the knowledge of his true name, and that Yahuah is in the process of awakening his people, and that it's not by coincidence nor by accident that you have an encounter with his name, because you see, in order to serve him, you got to know him. You got to know who you serve. Because when he called Masha, you know who Masha was? He was an imperfect man. He was a murderer. He called a murderer, and he said, you know what? I want you to go down there to my people. A people who have been asleep for a long time, a people who they have been asleep for so long, they no longer know who I am. They're worshiping things that they believe to be me. They're worshiping things that they believe to be the creator. They're worshiping things that they believe to be the most high one. They're worshiping things that they believe to be Allah, the highest. And in reality, they're worshiping nothing. So I want you, Masha. I want you, the one who is on the run because you murdered a cop in Matzrayim. I want you to go down there, and I want you to deliver my message to my people. I want you to declare to them that I exist, and I want you to tell them my name. And so I want you to let them know that I exist, that I have always existed, and that I will always exist. And then I want you to tell them the proper name of the one that does exist, and his name is Yahuah. So Masha went down there and he declared to the people that Yahuah does exist, that he has always and is existed, and that he will always exist. And he tells us in the book of Abarim, as Shahul rightly recorded, he says that those who come to him must know that he exists. Those who come to him must know that he exists. So in order for us to serve Yahuwah, in order for us to seek Yahuwah, we got to know that he exists. We got to know that he exists, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. That's what he says. And so he says, if you will seek for me with all your heart, then you will find me. Praise Yahuwah. And so we're here to seek him today. May Yahuwah make everything right in us that is wrong. May Yahuwah strengthen us. May he wash us. As it says in the book of Yahu and even in the book of Tahlim, wash me with that bitter herb. Wash me with hyssop so that I might be clean. Wash me that I might be whiter than snow. Praise Yahuwah. He also said to the prophet Yahu, come now and let us reason together, because he had a work for Yahu to do, but Yahu didn't know a whole lot about him. He had a work for him to do, and so he had to introduce himself to him. He had to know, Yahu had to know that he exists. And when you know that he exists, then you can fear him. When you know that he exists, then you can serve him. When you know that he exists, then you can trust him. And so he said, even though you did not know me, my servant Yahu, yet even before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. So come now and let us reason together, says Yahuwah. Though your transgressions be like scarlet, I will make them whiter than snow. I'll make you clean. And so Yahuwah called his servant. He declared to him his name, and he sent him on a mission. And when he sent him on a mission to his people, he said, do not be afraid of men and their faces, because I will make your face like a flint against them, because you're dealing with a stiff-necked people. You're dealing with a stubborn people. You're dealing with a wretched people, and they're not going to accept you easily. But I will set your face like a flint against them. I will make your face hard. I will cause you to speak that which needs to be spoken. And so Yahuwah sent his servant, feel the need to declare for the person who will watch this video at a later date, and you don't know Yahuwah, you don't know that his name is Yahuwah, though they have told you, they have told you to call him God, they have told you to call him the Lord, they have told you that you should call him Jesus. They have told you to call him the Christ. They have told you to call him Jehovah. They have told you to call him all kinds of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, family, the fact of the matter is that his name is not any of those. His name is Yahuwah. His name is Yahuwah. His name is Yahuwah. You see, his name is not the Lord. His name is not Christ. His name is not Jesus. His name is not God. God is the title of the pagan deity of fortune. His name is none of that, but his name is Yahuwah. And so he sent his servant, and he said, tell them that I exist. And after you've told them that I exist, then tell them that my name is Yahuwah forever. Halal Yahuwah. And so we call upon the name of Yahuwah today. We give Yahuwah praise, honor, and esteem. And he said that when we find ourselves scattered because of our disobedience, that's why we found ourselves literally packed in the hull of ships, packed literally like sardines. You see, as we were taken into captivity, as the scriptures tells us that we would in the book of Dabarim, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Yahuwah tells us in Deuteronomy chapter 28 that because of our disobedience, that because we failed to obey him while we were living in our land, that the day would come when he would cause those from the Isles of Europe. He literally tells us that he would cause them from the Isles of Europe to come, and they would take us by ships. They would take us into captivity, and things would be terrible in that ship. He said that they would put chains of irons around our neck. You see, it tells us that all kinds of diseases, sicknesses and diseases would come upon us, and those curses began to affect us even while we were in the belly of the ships. The conditions were terrible. in those ships. And then many of us died on the voyage. Many of us were thrown overboard because of food shortage. And so the decision was made that, okay, we're running out of food. And so what we're going to do is we're going to feed some of them to sharks. And so they would throw mothers overboard. They would throw men and young, and they would try to keep the younger ones, but they would throw the older ones overboard. And it was terrible. And then we were brought into these lands, the lands to which we have been scattered. And when we were brought into those lands, we were treated horribly and harshly, and it's still being treated horribly and harshly. And in those lands, Yahuah said that we would find no justice in those lands. And so to this day, we find no justice. But yet still, in spite of it all, Yahuah continued to show us favor, because had it not been for his favor, we would have been totally annihilated. We would have been totally destroyed. And so Yahuah continued to keep us. And so we give him praise for that. Is it because we truly deserve it? Then Yahuah said that it would come a point where our children would rule over us. And so we see that happening today, because we're afraid of our children. You walk down the street and you're afraid to look a young man in the face because he might be offended. He might pull something out on you. Or you might be standing at the bus stop waiting to get on a bus, and here comes a few of them and they want to play the knockout game. And though you might be a grandmother, you might be a grandfather, you might be old or you might be young, and yet they want to do harm to you, your own people. And so these are a part of the curses that plague our people, you see. But Yahuah is still, he continued to be committed to his people, and he still promised to deliver his people. And the day will come when he will truly deliver. And you know, sometimes you look at the iron fist of the wicked and you wonder, how is it that anybody is going to be able to pry that fist open? Because they've got a chokehold on our necks, and we're wondering, how is it that we're going to be able to get out of that chokehold? How is it we're going to be able to get out of that chokehold? These people seem so strong. They seem so powerful. How is it that we're going to be able to get out of that chokehold? But you know, Yahuah is amazing in the way that he works. You see, in the days of Rome, in the days of the Roman emperor, and we're living in the second Roman emperor, but in the days of the initial Roman emperor, Rome was so strong, and they were so fortified, and their military might was so great that they felt as if that there was no one that could topple them. There was no one that could topple them. But you see, in the midst of that, in the midst of them feeling superior, in the midst of them feeling superior, Yahuah brought them to inferiority. And you see, there are many different ways that Yahuah can use to humble the proud. There are many different ways that Yahuah will use to humble the wicked. And though one might be on their high horses today, it doesn't mean that they'll continue to be on their high horses forever. You know, family, because we are the ones that's oppressed, and because we have been oppressed for so long, sometimes we can find ourselves asking, how long? How long do we have to go through this? When will it end? I see no end in sight. But I want you to know that Yahuah is working. I want you to know that Yahuah is working. Because you see, those who have oppressed us for so long, those who have kept us trampled for so long, their end is indeed coming. And so it is up to those. It is up to those of the wicked. It is up to those who belong to the household of the wicked as to whether or not they're going to want to continue to side with the wicked. I'll give you a quick example here for a moment in that regard. You see, there was a time when Yahuah was bringing his people out of Mitzrayim. Yahuah was bringing his people out of bondage. And they came to a place, I'm going to use the word that we're all accustomed to for the name of the place. They came to a place called Jericho. And the scriptures tells us that Jericho was straightly shut up. I mean, it was like Fort Knox security. It says that was nothing going out and was nothing coming in. And so when Yasharal got to that place, it looked impossible for them to go any further. It seemed as if that this place Jericho, that it was going to be, well, it definitely stood between them and the promise. It definitely stood between them and the promise, you see. And sometimes, family, we encounter things in life that stand directly in between us and the promise of Yahuah. And the thing that stand directly in between us and the promise of Yahuah, it seemed undefeatable. It seemed insurmountable. I mean, the walls seem so high. I mean, it seems so fortified. It seems like they have the biggest guns. They have the biggest armored vehicles. They have the biggest rigged system against us. And there is no way that we will ever make it through this thing. But Yahuah is in control. Yahuah is in control. Now, while Jericho was straightly shut up, and this was the defining moment as to whether or not the word of Yahuah, the promise of Yahuah to his people will in fact come true. Yahuah gave the command to send spies into the land, and when Yahuah sent spies into the land, you see, there was a stranger in that land who had enough sense to side with the people of Yahuah. There was a stranger in that land who had enough sense to side with the people of Yahuah. And that stranger was a harlot. She was a whore, you see, but she made the decision that I'm going to side with the people of Yahuah. And so when the men of Yasharal went in, this woman, Rahab, she gave cover to the people of Yahuah. She gave cover to the people of Yahuah. And so Yahuah remembered that. Yahuah remembered her. And because she gave cover, Yahuah told them, now, give her a scarlet thread. Give her a scarlet thread. You see, that is the promise of redemption, representing redemption, representing the blood of Yahuah by which only atonement can be made for us. And so he said, give her this thread, tell her to hang it in the window. And this stranger, this foreigner, she hung that thread in the window because she sided with the people of Yahuah. And the day came when those walls fell, and she was saved along with Yasharal. You see, she was brought in along with Yasharal, a stranger. And so, you know, if the stranger ain't wise enough to if they don't have enough sense to wise up, then you will be destroyed. If you're a stranger, if you're a foreigner, if you're of the descendants of those who have oppressed Yasharal. You know, just this week, you wonder how it is that this system will fall. You wonder how it is that a people who have stood on our neck for so long, who have oppressed us for so long, and then pretend as if I've never done anything. I don't know what they're talking about. There is no injustice in America. There is no racial injustice. We are a people who treat everybody equally. We love everybody. What is he talking about? What are you talking about? Police brutality. What are you talking about? Injustice in the criminal justice system. What are you talking about? Injustice in the workplace. What are you talking about? Biases and racism. Come on now. Why you keep starting stuff? You see, if you want to continue to pretend as if it's not happening, then the day will come when Yahuah will minimize you and it will bring you to nothing. But sometimes you wonder, how will that happen when the chokehold seems so great? You know, this week I was listening to the news. This week. I was watching TV this week, and they said that among people of European descent, the birth rate is falling at an alarming rate. It's now on the verge of a crisis. Actually, it is at a critical point. They said that people of European descent, they're having a hard time reproducing. They're having a hard time having children, bearing children. Many, they're trying to have children, and in order to do so, they have to be going to the doctors, getting fertility treatments. You think that that's just by coincidence? You think that it's just happening? No, it's not just happening. You see, family, when you seek to destroy the offspring of Yasharal, anyone who seek to destroy the offspring of Yasharal as they have, your offspring will be destroyed. You see, Pharaoh declared war on the youth of Yasharal in Matzrayim. He said, I want you to kill every young child. Every young child, 2 years old and under, I want you to kill them. As a matter of fact, I want you to abort them. You see, Margaret Sanger This is the only time I'm going to make any mention of reincarnation, and I just say tongue in cheek. I really don't mean it like that. Understand where I'm coming from here. But Margaret Sanger wasn't an original. Margaret Sanger was just a reincarnation of Pharaoh. You see, so when Margaret Sanger set out to destroy the youth of the people of Yasharal, when she set up those Planned Parenthood clinics, and even though she didn't like the black preachers, her and the government was willing to go in and pay black preachers to preach to their congregation about the importance of abortion. The intent there was to kill the youth of Yasharal. The intent was to stifle development and to stifle growth, you see. But you see, when Pharaoh made a decree that I want you to abort, when he said to the midwives of Matzrayim, I want you to abort all the babies of the women of Yasharal. I want you to kill them as they're coming out the womb. Yeah, the first abortion clinics were set up in Matzrayim many great years ago. First abortion clinics were set up in Matzrayim, and they were set up for the killing of the nation of Yasharal. But you know what? It didn't work. It didn't work. But then afterwards, what happened? They plotted against the youth of Yasharal, and then Yahuah, he struck their youth. You know, right there in Pharaoh's household, that night on the Passover, while the youth of Yasharal were passed over in their houses, Yahuah struck at the heart of Matzrayim. He took the youth of Pharaoh. You see, today we have a crisis where all kinds of drugs and all kinds of poison have been planted in our communities, whether it be through drug trafficking on the corner or whether it be in the doctor's offices. But they have done all kinds of stuff to our people. You see, all kinds of medical induced sicknesses, all kind of addiction and everything. It didn't happen by coincidence nor by accident. It was intended for the destruction of a people. But what's happening is we are living in a time where we see that the curses are being reversed, where those who have plotted against the people of Yasharal, that the curse is now coming back on their heads. So you wonder how long, and you wonder if we will ever get out of this chokehold. Well, I want to tell you, I want to encourage you today, Yasharal, that yes, we will get out. Yes, we will get out. And yes, we are getting out. Yes, Yahuah is acting on behalf of his people. Will everybody get out? Will all of Yasharal get out? The natural seed? No. Many will die with the wicked, because many have become just like the wicked. We fight against ourselves. We fight against each other. We are wicked toward one another, and we're wicked toward everybody else. You see, and that's not what Yahuah expects from us. That's not what he called us to. He called us to be a set-apart people, a set-apart nation, you see. But yes, our deliverance is coming. Praise Yahuah. Now, Yahuah said that when we find ourselves scattered, as we will because of our disobedience, and he said that when we find ourselves scattered, he said that they will cause you to call upon the name of Baal. They will cause you to call upon the name of the Baalim. They'll cause you to call upon mighty ones, you see. And so even during the slave trade, they would pay pastors to convert the slaves to calling upon false mighty ones. You see, they would choose one slave and use him to brainwash the rest of the slave. And then there would come a time, just like they tell us in the what's the name letter, in the Lynch letter, whatever the name is, in the Willie Lynch letter, they said that there would come a time when you wouldn't need to continue to do this so openly, but it would be set in place so that now it becomes a generational thing where you got them carrying out the very things that were implemented by force, but now no force is needed. And so now we live in a time where generation after generation we grow up and we think that Jesus is the answer. and we calling upon these idols because it has been ingrained in us, family. It has been ingrained in us. But Yahuah promised the deliverance, but unfortunately many will remain in darkness. Many will remain in ignorance. And Yahuah says, for a lack of ignorance my people perish. And because you have rejected me, you have rejected my law. You have rejected my law. You see, they teach you that the law is no good, that the law is bad, that the law is done away with. You see, but nothing could be further from the truth. You see, the scriptures tells us that without no law, there is no sin. But yet, in Christianity, they love to tell you about sin. They talk about sin a whole lot. But how can there be sin if there is no law? Yahuah says, for a lack of knowledge my people perish, and because you have rejected me and you have rejected my law, I will also reject you, and I will reject your children and your children's children, because you have rejected my law. You see, so when you reject the law of the Creator, you reject the Creator. And when you reject the Creator, you choose ignorance over knowledge. And when you choose ignorance over knowledge, then you're sealing your destruction. And so Yahuah says, for a lack of knowledge my people perish, because you have rejected me and because you have rejected my Torah, because you have rejected my law, I will also reject you. You see, where there is no law, there is no transgression. If there is no law, then how can you see? Transgression, sin, is a breaking of the law. Sin is not missing the mark. Missing what mark? What mark? In Christianity, they give you a definition of sin. They say sin is to miss the mark. Well, what mark? What mark are you talking about? They don't know. They just tell you sin is missing the mark. That's not what the scripture says. That's Christian garbage, my friend. That's Christian garbage. What is sin according to the scripture? Sin is a transgression of the law. Sin is a transgression of the instructions of Yahuah. Sin is a transgression of the Torah. If there is no Torah, if there is no law, then guess what? There is no sin. There is no sin. So how then can they tell you that you're living in sin when there is no law? Didn't they tell you that the law is done away with? Wake up, my people. You got to begin to think for yourself and stop allowing these hirelings. Stop allowing these pimps, because that's what they are. They're pimping you. They're living in their $1 million houses and their $500,000 houses and their $23 million houses and their multi-million-dollar jets. And they come on TV or in the church around the corner from you and they pimp you all day long, getting you for everything that you got, while you're still living in poverty. And they're telling you to sow your seed and you're going to receive this much by this time. Have you realized that since the last promise they made you, that when you sow that seed of $99, or you sow that seed of $100, or you sow that seed of $33.95, or whatever it might be, that you still ain't get a return on that seed yet? Are you so blind that you have not seen that ain't no return coming? All they're doing is robbing you. Robbing you. They tell you that the law is done away with, but then they want to go to the law and tell you that you are cursed with a curse if you do not pay your tithes, even though the tithes is never money, was never intended to be money. Nowhere in the scriptures does the scripture say that the tithe is money, because Yahuah tell you that you are to eat the tithe. What do they then do with the tithe then, even if it was money? Because Yahuah says that the tithe is for the people, and the people were to come together and eat it. He says, bring your tithe to the storehouses so that there may be meat in my house. Why you think Yahuah need food in the house? For the feeding of his people. But you bring your so-called tithe into their churches and then nothing comes back. I just feel the need to talk to somebody new today. I feel the need to talk to somebody who's coming out of church, or somebody who's in church and who's confused. Maybe you're coming to realize that things ain't adding up. I just feel the need to talk to you today, and I hope you're hearing me. I hope you listen, whether it be in a recording or whatever it might be. I hope it reaches the right person, because I want to tell you that you're being pimped, and you're being pimp slapped. You see? They're slapping you around. They're lying to you. Yep, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. I just want you to know that we are the people of the book. Forget what you heard. Listen, forget what Billy Graham told you. Forget what T.D. Jakes is telling you. Forget what Charles Stanley is saying. They're all liars. They're all liars. They're pimps. And pardon the expression, but there is not a pimp who is not a hoe. You'll sell yourself, and you're selling yourself. So you see, but we're going to get started here today, family. I just felt the need to share a little bit. It just come upon me to share. We're going to get started here today. We're going to the book of Mashali. We're going to the book of Proverbs, chapter 24. We're going to pick back up in chapter 24. But let us pray, family, as we prepare to begin. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Allahu Yahuah. Abba Yahuah, we thank and praise you for who you are. We barak your name, Father. We recognize and we know that we're not worthy of your kindness. We're not worthy of your favor, but please continue to be merciful unto your people and bring us into right standing with you. Make us more like you, Father. Pray, Yahuah, that your word would go forth and that it would reach your people. That a people who have been deceived for so long would awake and turn to you. Abba Yahuah, we give you praise, we give you esteem, because to you alone belong all praise, all honor, and all esteem. We barak your great name, Father, and we pray that your name will be praised. And so reach your people wherever they are today. Bring Yasharal together, unite your people in oneness with your truth. Help us to walk according to your way, according to your word, because truly there is none like you. And so we praise you, Yahuah. Have your way in our midst. In Yahusha's name. Amen. Halal Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Family, we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem, because truly there is none like him. Truly there is none like him. We esteem his great name. Allow Yahuah. And we barak his name, because truly there is none like him. As we prepare to begin today, family, I'd like to open up the mic before we go to the book of Mashali, Proverbs. Chapter 24. I don't know if anyone have any comments or testimony that you would like to share today, just to give Yahuah esteem. If so, please go ahead. I think there's somebody on the mic, or I don't know if the mic is just open. Yes, go ahead, Aki. Shalom, shalom to you, Aki.
Shalom, Mishpachah.
Shalom.
Man, I you know, your whole introduction, the narrative that you were speaking on is the same exact thing I was, speaking to my mother-in-law. I mean, every point within that whole introduction that you gave, and
You know what? Bear with me 1 second. I keep bear, bear with me 1 second. I keep we're having some problems. Okay, sorry, Aki. Bear with me there 1 second. We're having a lot of feedback. If you could, before you come back to the mic, check your speaker, Aki, see if it's turned all the way down. I think something is feeding back in. I don't know if there was another microphone open in the room, but it was distorting everything you were saying. We couldn't hear you, and it was just a constant repetitive echo. So I'm so sorry about that. But just double check your speaker, make sure it's turned all the way down or down lower than it is. And it don't have to be all the way down, just lower, and see if that fixes the problem. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you again, Aki. So, but sorry for that. We just couldn't hear you. Bear with me just for a second. Let me get you unmuted again. Okay, can you hear me, Aki?
Yes.
Okay, you sound better.
I sound, yeah, okay. I got it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, like I was saying, that your whole introduction, the narrative, everything that you touched on, it was the same exact thing that I was speaking to my mother-in-law about. Though I mean, that's what I'm saying. I got goose pimples because I went took her do her daily shopping and so forth, and we was speaking. And then after I dropped her off,
Yeah.
it was, that's when she said, that's it. She said, I'm through with that Christianity. I ain't going to church no more.
Yes.
And I mean, it's just all the praise goes to Yahuah. Like I said, I got goosebumps because what you were, speaking on, that whole introduction was those key points and everything was the same exact thing I was saying to her. All praise to Yahuah. I really
Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Yahuah does have a way of confirming his word, Aki, and we praise him for that. And I praise Yahuah for the opportunity that he gave you to share with your mother-in-law and for giving her ears to hear, to the point that she heard and she was able to distinguish and to recognize and to say, you know what, I'm over with that nonsense, because the fact of the matter is, a lot of times, we have family that we desperately want to hear, and then we try to talk to them, and then instead of hearing, they want to fight with you, they want to argue with you, and so we truly give Yahuah praise for that, Aki. We truly give Yahuah praise for that opportunity. Allah Yahuah. Yeah, go ahead, babe.
It's kind of scary, even though, in one aspect we're delivered from falsehood, but at the same time, being as though we are a worshiping people, the scary part is, where do we turn to? So I think that we should remember to encourage people to continue to seek for him and pray that Yahuwah would make his word known to us. Not that we should just fall by the wayside and just end up, just out there, back into the old ways of life, So for me, it's kind of, you don't have somebody that's strong or somebody that is, someone that will continue to go to as they learn, and learn together and strive to seek him together, That's the other part of someone coming to the knowledge of what they've already known to be false.
Yes.
So.
Praise Yahuah.
Responding to somebody else.
Yeah.
When you said yes, I
was responding to you. Okay. No, I was responding to you.
And if you could, what are your thoughts on that part right there?
Well, thing is, say the last part for me again. No, say the last part for me again.
I said a lot. Just remembering that praying for the person that they will continue to seek for Yahuwah to make himself known to us, even though we're not going to a church to learn who he is, or not even so much to learn who he is, but because we weren't learning who Yahuah was. We were learning about a pagan deity that had nothing to do with Yahuah, you know. But like for myself, and I was talking to another Akut, you know, that desire for just pure and true worship, that worship, I haven't experienced that. What I thought I was experiencing in church. You know what I mean? I thought that was worship. You know, but it turns out that it wasn't. I was sincere in everything I thought. You know, but now I turned out that, wow, I wasn't worshiping who I thought I was worshiping. But I felt very sincere about what I was, you know. You had your hands lifted on your knees sometimes, singing your heart out, you know. It made me feel good. I'm not even going for it. You know, I felt like, whoa, the Spirit was with me today. You know, I ain't gonna lie. That's how I felt.
Well,
you know, but that, other than the word being made clear to me, since I've left the church, that part is, you know, come to fruition. But that something about the connection I felt, which I now know to be false, I have not felt that right there. And like I told you, you know, when since you know we lost our son, it's been a block there. You know. Whew.
You know, yeah, you said some things there that's very important. I think first and foremost for our people, we need to understand that we can be sincere, but we can be sincerely wrong. And a lot of people don't realize that while they seek to be sincere and they feel they are sincere, that the fact is that simply because you feel sincere and simply because you are sincere don't mean that you are sincerely right, but that you can be sincerely wrong, right? That you can be sincerely wrong. You can be sincerely wrong, and many times we are sincerely wrong. And so people worship out of sincerity, but yet they're sincerely wrong in their worship. You see what I'm saying? You see,
one thing we have to do is, and you saying that, the thought that came to mind is, what is worship?
yeah. What is worship? Now, the scriptures, we see examples of worship in the scriptures, and worship is not limited to us kneeling or standing, raising our hands, singing or praying, but worship is really a lifestyle. You see, Yahuah is Ruach, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, in Ruach and in truth. It means then that in the way that we live our life on a day-to-day basis, it's worship. And so we must live our life in his Ruach, which is to live our lives in truth, right? And that is worship that pleases Yahuah. In everything that we do, it is to bring esteem to Yahuah, right? That's ultimately what worship comes down to. Worship is giving the esteem to whom it belongs, and that is to Yahuah. Now, when we go and we give the esteem to an idol, we're taking the esteem of Yahuah and we're giving it to another. And that's the second thing that he tells us in his command, right? He says that do not give his esteem to another, right? He tells us that he is jealous, and he warns us not to give his esteem to another. So when we go and we give esteem to an idol, we're doing exactly what he commands us not to do, you see, which is to give his esteem to an idol. But worship is not limited to the times when we're standing with our hands raised, kneeling with our hands raised, or on our faces praying or anything like that. Worship is a lifestyle. Worship is what we do on a continual basis, you see.
So let me ask you this question, because you know, I don't want to say biblical times, because I believe we are still in the time of biblical times.
Oh yeah,
not
we're
biblical,
living out the prophecies of scriptures.
Not,
Yes.
I don't even want to say biblical, because
right.
you know, it's
Scriptural,
times. But in early scriptural times, I'm gonna refer to this movie. It was called Jeremiah, I think it is, where the setting was every time they went, before. Like let's say when we were going to church on a Sunday, you know, it seemed like a high time for us. And it's something we did every, you know, Sunday, so to speak. It was done totally different. You know, I never, in movies, I've never seen them singing and dancing. I've always seen in, you know, scriptural times, you know, present day movies, them actually doing the cutting of the lambs and the priests and stuff praying and stuff like that. I've never really seen it played out where they were actually singing and dancing. And only other time I've actually seen that in the scriptures is when Dawood danced up out of his clothes.
Well, actually, it's not.
So to me, I mean, I'm even, you know, thinking about what it probably really was, or what it really was. You know, I'm trying to picture it. Was it what we see in church nowadays? You know what I mean? All that singing and hooping and hollering, and you know, I call it like circus music. That beat that the dude with the organ play. It's like it's a thing to get you hyping. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessary. I feel like I'm all over the place here right now, but you know, is that a right reflection? You know, I would think not, but you know what I mean? To me, when I think of praise and worship, that's what I think of. Just us falling out on the floor, being slain. You know, was that what it looks like?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna put a couple of things. A couple of things you had
I'm
said.
sorry, y'all hijacked the questions.
But
comments.
So churches hire what I like to call a hype man, or a hype band, right?
Man.
They either, if they can afford to hire a hype band, they'll hire a hype band. So they'll have a pianist, they'll have a guitarist, they'll have a drummer, and they have the choir. That's their hype band. And sometimes
Joel Osteen's church that you went to when you went to Texas, and you said they make it the way it's built. They make it sound acoustic.
Yeah, it's deliberately built.
And
the lights, and they use smoke and stuff. They use dry ice to create smoke during certain times of the so-called worship, you know, and the music sound a certain way, and the lighting is set right, and it just, you know, you feel like you're in a different place, like, you know, it's.
And I'm certain that adds to that feeling.
Yeah, well,
that
it's a play on the emotion. It's a part of the hypeness. So what we have come to know as worship is really a play on our emotions, right? It's really a play on our emotions. With that said, there are true emotions attached to worship, right? And again, worship is not limited to the time that you're singing with your hand raised or on your knees or anything like that. Yes, that's a part of worship. To barak Yahuah. To barak Yahuah to mean to get low before Yahuah. Right? When we say we barak Yahuah, what we're saying is I get low Yahuah so that you can be seen to be as great as you are. When we say we barak Yahuah is to say get low. I get low because you are greater. You see what I'm saying? And I can't get low enough. You see what I'm saying? So it's like almost the highest esteem that you can give to Yahuah is to get yourself in the dirt, lay flat on the ground, prostrate before him. You can't get no lower than that because you want to communicate his highness. You see what I'm saying? When you talk about earthly kings and queens, they talk about His Royal Highness or Her Royal Highness, and that's people trying to take the place of Yahuah in the life of people. Yahuah is His Highness. Yahuah is His highest. You see what I'm saying? And so to barak Him is to get low before Him. You see? The very word, that's what it means, to get low. So when we talk about time of prayer, we're talking about getting low before Yahuah. You see what I'm saying? Because our intent is to barak Him, right? Now, you talked about not feeling that same.
I guess that sense of His presence
Yeah,
during that time of praise and worship.
Right.
Tell the Boras to make it.
Not feeling that sense of His presence. Now, the reality is, and the fact of the matter is, that when you come to realize who Yahuah is and who you are as a people in captivity, you're going to feel separated. you're not going to feel the closeness that you should feel, because you really don't have the closeness that you should have. The close to truly feel Yahuah, his desire is for us to be in the place where he has set his name. And when you're in that place, everything is complete. Everything feels right. The feast is a festive time. The feast, they're festive times. They're times when people of Yasharal sing and dance and praise. You see what I'm saying? It's not just about coming together for a meal. You see? It's a festive time. Yahuah give us feast. They're times of great joyfulness, happiness, rejoicing, festiveness, giving praise to Yahuah, enjoying one another, enjoying the company of one another. It's just a festive time. So when you talk about singing and dancing, yes, the scripture shows us that. It's just that we have lost concept of the feast. You see what I'm saying? We don't realize that the feast is a festive time. It's a time of high praise to Yahuah. You see what I'm saying? It's a time of enjoying one another, enjoying our nationality, enjoying our heritage. You see what I'm saying? And so it's a festive time. Now, if we were in right standing with Yahuah, being in our land, we wouldn't feel so separated from him. So the fact that we are in captivity, when you feel like now you're come to a knowledge of Yahuah, now it seems as if the closeness that you felt in church, you no longer feel that closeness. Number one, you had a closeness to your emotions. You didn't have a closeness to him. You see what I'm saying? So now that you're coming to a knowledge of him, now you're feeling what you should feel. And what you should feel is that I feel like I've been separated from him. You're supposed to feel that because you have been separated from him. We were put away from him. And if you're put away from him, if you have a husband, you have a wife, and you're separated from them, what are you going to feel? As long as they're not there the way they should be, then you're going to feel a sense of separation.
It's like a longing for something.
Yeah, that's the longing we're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
We're supposed to feel that longing. And it's not going to be that emotional, like everything is so nice, I could stay right here. This is the Zen spot. You know, this is the Zen spot. This is the sweet spot. I could just stay right here. No, you're not going to feel that because you're separated from him. You'll feel that in church because you're dabbling in witchcraft.
No, it's more like a sense of frustration. Like, where are you? You said that this, that, and the third. And it's like...
Well, that's what you're going to feel.
Where you at?
Yeah, that's what you're going to feel, and that's what you're supposed to feel. So when you go to the book of Hosea, what they call Hosea, the book of Hosea communicate what you're supposed to feel when you've been separated. You see what I'm saying? In the book of Hosea, the book of Hosea, this woman that he loved so much that he took care of, now what she did was she took it upon herself, which is what we did. She took it upon herself to go out, to leave the house. Yahuah didn't put us out of the land, really. We put ourselves out of the land. We took it upon ourselves to leave the house. You see? Because we determined that, you know what, the way of the heathen is better than our way. We want to be like the heathen. Well, that's a decision that you made. You made that decision to leave. You see what I'm saying? So now she go out there, and now she's going through because the grass ain't as green as she feel, and she's saying, when I was home, I didn't have to struggle for a meal. I didn't have to struggle for my emotional and my physical needs to be satisfied, for me to feel wanted. I didn't, it just came naturally. But now that I'm out here, even though all these men are around me, I still feel lonely. Even though I'm always in somebody's bed, I still feel like I'm not needed.
Temporary gratification.
Yeah, you see? And so the book of Hosea really exemplifies how we should be feeling in captivity. If we're feeling any other kind of way, it means then that we don't realize what has truly happened. You see what I'm saying? We haven't come to a knowledge of what has truly happened to us as a people. You see, if we feel any other way. And the fact of the matter is today you have a lot of people who really don't realize what has happened to us as a people. That's why they're running around here in this filth, in this cesspool. You see? They're in filth up to their bottom lip. And yet they want to jump around saying that they're rejoicing and keeping feast and whatever. We don't realize our condition. You see, we're still being driven by our lying emotions. You see. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, so, yep, strong delusion. That's what it is, Akut. Strong delusion. Strong delusion. You know, and you're in church and you're in there and you're feeling good. You're on that emotional high. It's a strong delusion. Strong delusion. Strong delusion. All right. Okay, Mashpaka. Akut Shar, please go ahead, Akut. Akut Sharia.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
It's good to hear your voice.
Oh, praise Yahuah. Now, first let me say this. Do I sound like I'm in a tunnel or water or anything? Because I have this speaker hooked up to my computer.
You sound not so much on the water, but a tunnel-like kind of thing.
Okay, and let me unplug it and then, because I want to say something. Tell me if I still sound like this.
Okay, Akut.
Okay, I have unplugged, so is that better or no?
It is better.
Okay. Praise Yahuah. I just wanted to piggyback on what True Kim, what the two of you are saying right now. Because when I've been, going to the whorehouse, I'll say that, church, I kept my emotions more so then than I do now, if that makes any sense. It's like you were saying, Keith, I felt more, I think it was more of an emotion, like you said, because I felt like Yahuah was with me more or something. But I think it was a play on emotions back then. And now it's a little different. I don't feel that closeness so much, but it's like you said, like your husband, if your husband's not there or something, there's a longing and there you miss him, but he's there. He's still going to provide for you, and he's still going to do this and that. And like Yahuah, sometimes you don't feel like he's there, but he's there because he's still providing for you.
Yeah.
You still have breath. You're still existing, So I wanted to say that, and I also wanted to say, didn't Yahuah's word, didn't he say, get away from me with your feast days and your new moons and your Shabbats and all? Does that still stand?
Yeah.
And that's why we are feeling the way we're supposed to be feeling today.
Exactly, Akut, precisely.
And I'm going to release the mic, but shalom to everyone. So much love to you guys, and Shabbat shalom. Oh, not Shabbat, but shalom, and I'll release the mic.
Yes.
Shalom,
Shalom to you, Akut. Yes, indeed. That is so true, so correct what you stated there, Akut. We're supposed to feel that way. Yahuah says, get away from me with all that. He calls it noise. Get away from me with your noise. You see? And we find that also. We find it several places in the scriptures, but one place that it really stands out is in the book of Amos, what they call Amos. And it's important to read the entire book of Amos, especially when you get to chapter 5 is where we talk about it. People oftentimes talk about the feast and say that Yahuah says whatever command forever or whatever, but they obviously they haven't really done what they should have done, which is to really study all of scripture. They quote a couple verses and forget the rest of the scriptures, you see. But yes, indeed, Yahuah says that. And so now we come to when we come back to a place, when we begin to come to our senses, We are the prodigal that had everything going good for us at home but didn't appreciate it, and so we left home. And now we find ourselves eating with the swine and sleeping with the swine, and it caused us to come to our senses. And when we come to our senses, notice what happened when the prodigal come to his sense. When the prodigal came to his senses while he was still in the pig's pen, did he decide that, you know what, I could make me a little corner over here, and when I get ready, even though I'm in this pig pen, I could just go in my little corner and I will feel right at home. Everything will feel like it's supposed to feel. It will feel like I'm back at home again. Did he make a little corner in the pig pen and say, I'm going to stay right here, and when I get depressed, I'm just going to go over there in that little corner and everything is going to be all right? I could have a feast and I could have a this and I could have a that and everything will be like it was before? Did he do that? No, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He said, I need to go back home. He said, I need to go back home. But you see what's happening is our people are living in this pig pen, living with the swines, and now we want to build a little area in the pig pen, and we want to run over to that little area every once in a while and feel good about ourselves, but have no thought about the need to go back home, because there is no place like home, family. There is no place like home. You see. No, but we want to make everywhere else home. You see, no, the prodigal didn't decide that I could continue to live with the swines. I'll just make a little area where I can get away from the swines for a little bit, you know, and go over here and do my thing, and we all come together in this little corner and everything will be all right. No, he didn't do that. He realized that the only way for completeness, for true shalom and for restoration is home. The only place that can satisfy is home. And so what did he do? He had to humble himself and find his way back home, you see. So you know, but those parables are there for our teaching, for our learning. But unfortunately many continue to miss the message, you see. Yes, he knew where he came from and knew that's where he needed to be, you see. Now, praises to Yahuah, indeed. All esteem to Yahuah. All right. Anyone else before we move on? Mashpaka, I want to say shalom again to all of the family, to the family on YouTube, the family on Fuse, and also to the family on Facebook. To each and every one of you, I want to say shalom, Mashpaka.
Shalom.
Shalom to you, Aki.
Shalom, Shalom, Mashpaka.
Great.
I was writing. I was writing it down so everyone could see it, but I just want to say that lately we have been running into pastors who state that they have come into the truth of Father Yahuah, but what I found that most of them who say they are leading their congregation into the truth of Father Yahuah, what they're doing is mixing Father Yahuah's truth with the idols of Babylonian lies, and they still want to keep telling the congregation that Yahusha name is the same as the idol Jesus and Lord and all of that, and they still talking about telling the people that's equated with Yahusha, and that there's no difference, it's just in a different language. And one of these people, I'm gonna write his name down with his address, but but Maspaka can find him on YouTube. His name is Pastor Omar Tebow from Lafayette, Louisiana, and I think somebody can call him and let him know that those names, because he told his people, okay, if you're coming to what's right, then you have to do what's right. And he told them, so you have to leave everything you ever learned, you have to let it go. But yet, he's not letting it go, and he's still holding on to Jesus and God and Lord and all of that. So he's confusing the people even further, and he want to know why the people not excited. Yeah, well, I let the mic go.
To the key. His name is Omar Teebles. Omar Teebles. Okay. I'll look him up, Aki. Tuda, and what you're saying is so right. What he's doing is he's confusing the people. Last week, Mashpaka, we read from the book of Mashali, chapter 25, Proverbs chapter 25. And I'll be right with you, Aki. And it says that the one who compromises is like one who muddies the water. We read that last week. The way it was translated wasn't translated exactly that way, but that's what it's saying, should be saying. The one who compromises is like one who muddies the water. And so he's muddying the water for people. It's confusing people, you see. But that is so true. So you have a lot of people who claim to be now coming into the truth, but what they're doing is actually misleading people and confusing people in many ways. And that's the work of the adversary. That's what he want to do, create confusion. Anyway, Aki, please go ahead, Aki.
I don't know what you want to.
Was it Aki Dahoud?
Yes.
Okay. Shalom to you, Aki.
And shalom, Mashpaka. Just wanted to share something that was brought to my attention. I believe God Yahuah was revealing something personally in my spare time. And it was in the book of Kulasalam, Ban Anu'um, or Colossians 2:14. And it was talking in regards to, I believe, a lot of stuff that's being spoken of right now. And it says, removing out the handwritings of dogma that was before us, standing which was contrary to us. And it took out the ways to carrying it to the stake or the tree. Having exposed the principalities and the rulers of authorities, have made open display of them. Having defeated them over in it, let no one take away from the prized reward. Them who take delight in esteeming false humility and following messengers, taking a stand on the invisible, boasted by their own carnal minds. And I read these things, and as I watch, I a lot of things I have to separate myself from, and the more that I walk with Yahuah, the more, as scripture says, the more that we know, the lonelier the path gets, and it really gets that way. Being humble in this walk is too many people who say they have the truth, but scripture is contrary to that. It says, let every man be a liar, and only Yahuah have the truth. And I see everybody's saying, well, I got this truth, I got that truth, whether it's in regards to the Shabbat, whether it's in regards to the festivals, whether it's in regards to the name game. And remember that this is all part of Shaitan's scheme, is to confuse, divide, and exploit. the very amat, the very truth that Yahuah has, just tainted a little bit, had a little bit of lies here, had a little bit of lies there, to the point where the truth is just nothing but a big jumble of babblings. And so, and I know that in 2 Timothy 3:1-5, it says about this. It says, "But know this, in the last days, hard times shall come. For men shall be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boisterous, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, thankless, wrongdoers, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, fierce, haters of good, betrayers, reckless and puffed up, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of Yahuah, and having a form of reverence, but denying its power and turning away from these." And so this is what Satan's biggest scheme was in these last days. You know, I get brothers out here who message me and ask me about CERN and ask me about government conspiracies, and I get quite tired of it. Because I'm like, these last Sha'ums out here, what are we more worried about? We're more worried about the schemes of the enemy, which is succeeding to confuse all of us. We're worrying about trying to make it into that narrow gate that few find. And as I've been walking and really seeking Yahuah, I don't want any recognition. I only want Yahuah to reveal by submitting, you know, all that I think I know, and giving it to the Almighty again, because we're all broken vessels, and as the prodigal son, as you were talking about, realized this, wants to come home, and that's like the biggest thing for me right now is I just want to go home.
Yes, yes, and that's where Yahuah wants us to be, wanting to go home. Nothing else should be of any more importance than going home. You see, listen, if you find yourself stranded in a strange place, in a strange country, or even in a city that you're not familiar with, you're away from home, and things aren't going quite the way you would like for them to go, then I assure you that the biggest thing on your heart is wanting to get home. You will do everything in your power in trying to get home. It could be you could be in another city in America, but you live in Portland, Oregon. But here you find yourself in Philadelphia, and you don't know nothing about Philadelphia. And because you're not familiar with Philadelphia, and then you might have a couple bad experiences in Philadelphia, even if it's just one experience. Or maybe you haven't had any bad experiences in Philadelphia. You're just in unfamiliar territory. I assure you that the thing that's going to be on your heart most when you know where you come from, if you truly know where you come from, the thing that's really going to be on your heart most, and if you know what you're missing, the thing that's going to be on your heart most is, I want to go home. You see?
You know, when we first begin to, sit down and study at home, and we begin to learn that, you know what, this is not home.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing, I promise you, I was like a little kid, and I was like, man, how do I get there? I don't have any money to get there. What do I got? Like, I was really like, how do I get there? How are we gonna get there? When's he coming? Like, when's this all going down? I was like a kid on the inside. Like, it was like a world just opened up to me. I felt like an orphan that said, I knew something about me was different. I did not belong here. I could never put it all together. I knew that something was wrong about being here. It was like being an orphan and finding out that this is not my mom. This is not my dad. Like, really? I know that I didn't look like them. I didn't sound like them. That something about me was different. I felt like that when we first came into this truth, and then now I feel stuck. I feel stuck, and I feel like is somebody I'm trying to get in touch with, but I can't get in touch with, and that sometimes things are happening to me, and I don't know how to get in touch with this person and say, "Listen, I'm here. I want you. Come get me." Like it just hurt.
I feel pain, sis. I know how you feel. Many times, it becomes something. I don't know if everybody feels this way, but when the more I study, the more I really just want to get intimate with Yahuah. And I know I mess up many times, but I humble myself and I ask Yahuah, please reveal these secrets. You know, because Yahuah is the revealer of secrets as well.
Indeed.
And yes, my thing for you, Michael, is when will we know exactly when to go to the land? Because I know that the land right now is corrupted.
Yeah.
Those people in the land of Yashar, in the land of Israel, is not Yasharal.
Right.
And so there's a lot of conversion. It's like modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. They don't want the chosen people there. They're not going to allow it. So do we rush there and say, oh, we need to go, or do we wait for Yahuah to say this is when it's going to happen? How does that work?
Yeah, to the key. You know, from my study of scripture, I find that when the time comes that there will already be some people in the land, though they were there while the land was still defiled. The scripture tells us that there will be people already in the land. In my study of the scriptures, I've seen that in the scriptures. But when the time comes for us to really, in a mass exodus, go to the land, I believe, again, according to scriptures, I believe that Yahuah will make that time known, because it is Yahuah that's going to move us. Take, for example, while the people were in Matzrayim, right? Yahuah, number one, let's think back to the book of Yashayahu quickly for a second before I go to Matzrayim. In the book of Yashayahu, Isaiah chapter 55, I think it is, or somewhere there, it says that the day would come when Yahuah would turn his face. He first, before he got to that point, he said that there came a point where I had to turn my backs to you, Yasharal. He said he had to turn his back on Yasharal. He says the same thing in the book of what's the name of that book again? The last book, in the way they lay out, you know, the writings, in the last book before you get to Mattityahu, the last book of the what they call Old Testament. What book was that? I forget. In the book of Malachi, right? In the book of Malachi, he said that in the last days that he would turn the heart of his children back to their father, and the heart of the father back to their children. That's what he said, but that's not what the translation says. The translation says, and by the way, it's not just in the book of Malachi, but in the book of Yashayahu, Isaiah, he says the same thing, and in other places also he says the same thing. But in the translation, it says that in the last days, that he's going to turn the heart of the fathers back to the children, and the heart of children back to their fathers. But that would be a contradiction of other scriptures, would it not? How would it contradict other scriptures? Because we find in other places where it says that in the last days, there will be houses divided. There'll be fathers against sons and mothers against daughters, so on and so forth, right? So that would be a contradiction. So in reality, it's not saying that he's going to turn the heart of the fathers to the children and the children back to the fathers. That's not what it's saying. That's not what it says literally in the Abari. It's saying that when the time comes for the regathering, for the awakening, it is Yahuah that's going to turn his heart back to his children And he's going to turn the heart of his children back to him. In the book of Yeshayahu, he says that though I had to turn my backs on you, I had to turn my face away from you. Even though I had to turn my back on you and turn my face away from you, then the time would come when I would turn back to you and I will regather you. So when the time of the actual regathering comes, just like as we see the time of awakening happening, Yahuah will regather his people. So when it became time for the people to leave Mitzrayim, what happened? It was Yahuah that determined the day. It wasn't the people who determined the day. It wasn't an individual. It wasn't Masha that determined which day they would leave Mitzrayim, was it? No, it wasn't, right? It was Yahuah. Down to the very day, it was Yahuah that determined the day. You see, everything about our lives, everything about our existence, everything about our nationality is appointed by Yahuah. Okay? Everything is appointed by Yahuah, and that includes the day of our Exodus. You see, so that's how I see it as I study the scriptures. I know that there are many people telling, and people have been saying this, believe it or not, people have been saying this since the 1800s about it's time to go back to the land, and people have gone back to the land since. But what has happened? They have gone through all kinds of stuff. Being in the land is no different than living in America or living in some other place that we have been scattered. Those people, they'll tell you that, or if they're honest, they'll tell you they're still being ridiculed. They're still being being treated unfairly. They're still still being persecuted, still being treated like second-class citizens, or no citizens at all. You see, still being done wrong. You see, I watched a video where Ben Ami, while he was alive, he was trying to go, which wasn't even the real Mount Zion, but he was trying to go up there to that Jewish myth of a place to keep the feast. Him and our people that were with him, they were trying to go up to the, what they call up there, the Wailing Wall. They were trying to go up to the so-called Wailing Wall to keep the feast, and they wouldn't let them. Now here it is, they're in the land, and they're trying to go up to this so-called Wailing Wall, which ain't the right place, but they're trying to go up to this Wailing Wall, and they're in the land, but they wouldn't let them. Well, if you have been regathered by Yahuah, Yahuah told you that, and that it was time, and that he has regathered you, then what hinders you then from doing the things he has commanded you to do? Well, the wicked still hinder you. And Yahuah said that he will allow the land to be trodden under the foot of the wicked until the time of the wicked is brought to an end. Once the time of the wicked is brought to an end, what begins? The set apart rule of Yahuah begins, you see. And that's where the land is given back to the people of Yahuah. That's where Yahuah cleanses the land, purges the land, and rededicate his Haykal. Rededicate his Haykal. Because you can't have nothing happening in a defiled Haykal. There's got to be a rededication. You see what I'm saying? There's got to be a rededication. Yes, indeed, Aki, the land is resting now. Indeed. So you got people who are in the land and they're in different places talking about they're keeping the feast. And guess what? They're still in disobedience to the instructions of Yahuah. Because the place have not been rededicated to Yahuah. It has not been cleansed. It has not been, the instructions have not been followed through. And they can't be followed through. Because you're not in control, my friend. You're not in control. You see? Yahuah has given it over to the wicked for a time, as he said he would, going all the way back to Bereshit, chapter 10. Going all the way back to Bereshit, he said that the tents of Sham would be inhabited by what's his name, Yaphat. And that's happening to this very day until Yahuah drive them out of there. And when Yahuah drive them out, they will be driven out. You see, but right now they have it because Yahuwah says as appointed this time. You see, and so that's the bottom line. So when the day of our exodus comes, it is Yahuwah that will make known the day. People are just jumping ahead of Yahuwah.
And quick, to add on to that, a lot of people just want here, see the temple being rebuilt. They'll say, oh, it's of Yahuwah, the temple's being built, even if the Ark of the Covenant is established. And they say that's going to be a mass deception for a lot of people. But I know what Scripture says in Hazun that the Shamyam will come down, and the Haykal will not be built by nor touched by any man's hand.
That's right.
And so when we start seeing that, oh, the new temple is going to be built, oh, we just found the new Ark of the Covenant, know that they already have it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Aki. That's just another part of the deception, the great deception that is going to deceive a whole lot of people. I have a video on YouTube that deals with that. It's called, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it has something to do with the fake temple or the fake Haykal, something. I don't remember the title of the video, but I have a video on YouTube that deals with that. And the scriptures tells us that there will be a false temple. Everything that is true, to everything that is true, Shaitan creates something that is false. And as I say Shaitan, I want to make it plain and I want to make it clear. I'm not talking Christianity here. I'm talking scriptures. When I say Shaitan, do not just simply think about some ghostly character. Don't think about Casper, the not so friendly ghost in this case, right? Shaitan also amounts to people, government, adversaries of Yahuwah and his people. So when I say Shaitan, I'm talking also literally about people and governments that seek to contend with Yahuwah and his people, form deceptions, create all kinds of false events to advance their schemes and get done what they want to get done. You see, scriptures tells us this. I'm not making it up. So I'm not talking Christianity where everything is blamed on some invisible character. But the scriptures let us know that Shaitan, while we have a spiritual adversary, Shaitan, we also have many physical foes, physical adversaries, Shaitan. When Yahuwah said to Kapha, get behind me, Shaitan, in Christianity they tell you that he was talking about the spirit in him. No, he was talking to him. Because in that moment, he was an adversary to the will of Yahuwah. And so Yahuwah says, get behind me, adversary. You see? Get behind me, Shaitan. So anyone who is an adversary to the ways of Yahuwah and to the people of Yahuwah, that one is Shaitan. If it's an individual or a government. You see, we have been ruled by Shaitan now for a lot of years. You see, we were taken into captivity by Shaitan. Okay? I'm talking about Shaitan you can see. You see? The scriptures tells us that Shaitan will create a lot of deception. So just like you have the real Haykal, you have the false Haykal. Like you have the real people, you have the false people. Like you have real truth, you have fake truth. You see? And so that's the way it is. But great point, Aki. Yeah, and the Rastafarians believe that. I don't agree with that.
Well, the Rastafarians, they're actually worshiping. What's his name?
Haile Selassie.
Selassie, yes. But you know, he was a Freemason.
Haile Selassie.
So a lot of things that they're talking about, if you just look at some of his photos, you'll see the pendulums of the Freemasonry upper lodge on his suit. Again, you know, they actually are calling on JAH, but if you're doing intense studying, JAH came from the demonic order of JAH, UBLON. If you've ever heard of it, you should do some studying on that. Man, so it goes deep into a lot of other things, but
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. And you know, that's why I say to people a lot about the Bible, that the Bible is a corrupted translation of the scriptures. It's not the scriptures. Because the people who translated the Bible, they conspired. They conspired. You hear me? I said conspired. I'm not saying to you that it happened by accident, but they conspired to change the shortened name of Yahuah, the poetic name of Yahuah, to change it from Yahu to Jah. They did. And they tell you in the commentaries that they did, just like they tell you that they replaced his name, his true name, with Jehovah, the Lord and God. You see? So, but it's a conspiracy. They conspired to do this. It says not by accident. It's not by coincidence. It's not that they didn't know, family. Listen, there is a movie out there. I don't remember the name of the movie, but there is a movie out there from the 1950s. From the 1950s, where in the movie they have the main character in the movie talking about Yahuah. 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 In the 1950s. In the 1950s.
Lawrence of Arabia.
What is it? What's the name of it, Aki?
It was Lawrence of Arabia. It was Peter O'Toole.
Oh, yep. That's who it was, Peter O'Toole. And he's talking about Yahuah. And this was in the 1950s. Okay? Now, somehow people think that.
Are we talking about the same movie where he was in the room with everybody on their knees and then he spoke the name?
I'm trying to remember the scene.
Because I know there's another movie. I don't know if that was the same movie, but he had spoke it. I don't know if somebody else that can hear me can verify that.
No, it was the original movie Lawrence of Arabia with Peter O'Toole. And he said Yahoo.
And there's one where it'd be the same movie, but he actually said the name outright, Yahuah, you know. And so the point here is that they have had the knowledge of his name, you see, just like, okay, look at the Bible.
Yeah, Keith.
Yes, Aki.
Yeah, I think it was a Western. No, they were Indians.
Oh.
And the Indians said Yahuah.
Oh, no, there was one where the white guy also said Yahuah. So there might be a few of them out there, you know. There might very well be a few of them out there. Because I've heard of the one with the Indians, where the Indians said Yahuah.
Yeah, where they call the great white spirit, Yahuah, yes.
So
it was the Cherokee one, I think you were talking about, Aki.
Okay. So there are a few of them out there, actually. Right? There are a few of them out there, but that just goes to show that this knowledge is not something that's new to them. It's knowledge that they've had. So why would you deceive, right? Why would you still continue to this day to put forth falsehood? You see what I'm saying? They know. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to get across. They know, but what they have done is they have conspired, like the scriptures tells us that they would do. They have conspired to lie to the people of Yahuah. You see, so that's what they have done, and it's not by coincidence. You see, it's not by coincidence, but it fulfills the prophecy of Yahuah. It fulfills Yahuah's prophecy. You see, because he tells us that this would happen to us because of our disobedience, because of our stiff-neckedness. You see what I'm saying? But the reality is that what they have done is they have conspired to change and to cause us to call upon idols. And that's what our people have got to understand. That's what our people have got to get. When we try to tell them and we try to communicate to them, they want to look at us like we're crazy or something, like we're stupid. But the fact of the matter is, you've been conspired against. They have conspired to lie to you. And the sooner you wake up and realize that, the more better off you'll be. You see what I'm saying? Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. It's poison. All right. Yes, Aki, but I'm sorry. I don't know if I cut you off from anything else, but if so, please continue, Aki. I'm sorry. All right. Well, don't know. Don't know. Probably did. Don't know, though, for sure. Don't know. You know which movie the name of Yahuah is also in? That movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark or something.
Yeah, the pendulum. It's only like a 2 second clip of it. I have it actually on my Facebook photo as one of my pictures. You'll be able to see it. But it's the ancient Yahuah language, the ancient form of what they call Hebrew today, which is not the same. But that's another story. But you'll see the name, but it's only about a 2 second clip, so you're going to be very careful. Also, I discovered in the Prince of Egypt, brother, in the movie The Prince of Egypt, right at the very end, you can hardly see it. It's only like a 2 second clip of it, but he's holding the tablets after the crossing over the Sea of Reeds. And at the very last moment, at the very end of the movie, if the sunlight hits the tablets, you'll be able to see the name as well in the ancient form, the ancient language.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that one concerning that movie. I was so upset and turned off by it, and their modern day, their continued portrayal of lies that I never even really.
And I discovered this as well. I don't know if you can do some studying in regards to this, Keith, but the movie with John Heston in it, with the Ten Commands, it just so happens that the tablets right above where Yahuwah's name is, they put right above that, it was the ANKY. Do you know what that means?
The ANKY is actually a representation of the Egyptian of the Ankh. You find it associated with the Ankh actually. Exactly what it means I don't know, but I know it's associated with the Ankh, which is a pagan symbol, which is from which the cross is derived.
No, I'm sorry. It was the ANUKY, which was Anukia.
Okay. No.
Do you know anything about the Anunnakis?
No. Sounds a little familiar, but I'm not so certain. Don't know enough at all, other than maybe hearing the term.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that above, and I was a little taken back by, like, why would they put that above before they even put the name on there, you know?
Yeah, I'd have to look into that some more, but I'm not familiar, you know.
I can send it to you. Just message me on Facebook, and I'll be able to send it to you.
Okay. Great. Yeah, that's great. Aki Franklin had wrote the name Anuki is Australian baby name in Australian. The meaning of the name Anuki is a language spoken by the Gababora people. Didn't get the meaning there. I think something missing there, Aki. All right. Okay, all right, Mashpaka. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into our. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna take a break, 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to come back to our study for today from the book of Mashali, chapter 24. I've titled today's study, The Weak Crumble Under Pressure, and that's taken from a text in the book of Mashali, chapter 24. The weak crumble under pressure. Okay, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back to that study. Let me read from Akut Yanat. Akut Yanat posted these messages. I posted is to encourage our family here. Week before last, I felt so alone and separated because my family members have gone almost cold toward me because I chose to walk with Yahuah. I was so hurt, and I felt totally alone and became very depressed for a while. It got worse when Ashatan said, get to whispering in my ears that you need to end your life because nothing is ever going to be right with you again. I had to come to myself after processing his lies and shut the door on him. Thanks for the love and encouragement of my niece, Cheryl. Praise Yahuah. Praises to Yahuah. Akut, be encouraged. Know that Yahuah knows exactly what you're experiencing, and that it is not, even though the reality is hurtful, yet it is not, don't let it be surprising, right? Because he cautions us about that we will be rejected by friends and family for his name's sake. You see, people will turn their backs on you, and then once they do, then the adversary comes in and he tried to cut you off completely, you see. But they will. Yahusha said that a man's enemy are those of his own household. You see, Dawood said, in speaking about his own family, he said that if I had wings, I would fly away and be at rest. That's what he says, I believe, in Tahalim chapter 55 or so, when his own son sought his life, when his own son took his wife and his concubines and he raped his wife in the middle of the square, and sought to kill his own father. He said, if I had wings, I would fly away and be at rest. Talking about getting away from his own family, you see. And Yahuah says that a man's enemy are those of his own household, you see. When they came to Yahusha, after he had been in the Haykal reasoning with the elders about the scriptures, and his parents who had left because they had gone to Jerusalem as they were commanded to, gone to Jerusalem for the feast, and they had traveled about a day's journey and realized that he wasn't with them, but he had made himself comfortable at the Haykal. So they went back looking for him, and they got back to Jerusalem, and they said, hey, you see that little barefoot boy? His name Yahusha. See him hanging anywhere around here, because when I get a hold of him, I'm going to beat his behind real good. And so they sent word to him. They got word to him. They say, listen, your mother and your brothers, they look for you. And he said, who is my mother? Who is my brother? But those who are concerned with the will of Yahuah, right? And so, at the end of the day, who is family? Who is family really? Who is family? We talk about this a lot. Who is Yasharal? Who is Yasharal? Who is Yasharal? Really? Who is Yasharal? Who is family? Does bloodline in itself make you the Yasharal that matters? No, it don't. Simply because you are of the natural seed of Yasharal that in itself means absolutely nothing. It means zilch. It means zero. Okay? That in itself means nothing. Obedience to his instructions is what truly makes a person Yasharal. Okay? Obedience. Okay? So from the perspective of being in right standing with Yahuwah, just being of the natural seed is not good enough. Okay? Just being of the natural seed is not good enough. If you don't believe me, read the book of Maccabeus. Read the books of Maccabeus if you don't believe me. Because in that book you will see that even the people of the natural seed, Yahuwah treated them like they were absolute strangers because they were so wicked. You see? And he used even the armies of Yasharal that were being obedient to Yahuwah. He used them to annihilate the people of Yasharal who sided with the wicked. You see? So at the end of the day, what counts is obedience. So simply because that person might be your mother or your brother or your sister or your aunt or whatever, that in itself, while they're family in the natural sense and you want to see the best for them, you can't allow them to bring you down. You see? And that's what Yahuwah says. Okay, so unfortunately, that's the way it is. Unfortunately, you see, people are fierce when it comes to defending Jesus. They're fierce when it comes to defending a lie. They'll cut you off for Jesus. They'll defend a family member who is lifting up Jesus, but you come speaking about Yahuwah and they'll cut you off and not think twice about it. You see, that's the way it is. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, family, we are going to get ready to take a break and then we're going to come back. The weak crumble under pressure. Now, you know what, family? That might not be so, that might be quite fitting for what we're talking about here. The weak crumble under pressure. So let's remember that. We're not weak. When we are weak, Yahuwah didn't say he is strong, like they tell us in church, right? In Christianity, you hear the pastor say all the time, I don't know about your pastor while you was in church, but I know while I was in church, all the time people would go up there to the pulpit and they'd say, the Bible says that when I am weak, he is strong. Scriptures don't say that. It don't say that. It says when we are weak, he makes us strong. You see? When we are weak, he makes us strong. And really what it's saying is that when we comes to this place of humility, that's where he can then work in our lives. That's where he can then strengthen us. That's where he can then build us up. You see? And so we are going to take a break here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to pick up in the book of Mashali, Proverbs, chapter 24. All right, so we're going to prepare here to go to break, Mashpaka, and we'll be seeing you after the break. Family, we'll see you all shortly. I'm going to stop the broadcast on YouTube and Facebook, and then we'll pick up after the break. Zoom will remain open. I will just put some music or a video on, or a couple of videos on, a couple old videos on, in the meantime.